What's up guys, John here, and today I'm going to show you guys 5 awesome hidden gems on the Game Boy Advance that you probably haven't, well, one of these games you probably heard of, but the rest of, maybe not. And more importantly, all these games are loose cart, and I did that because I bought them loose cart and they're way more affordable that way. So, let's check it out. Okay guys, so at number 5 we have Lunar Legend for the Game Boy Advance, and this is still loose cart. As you can see, I just have a DS case that holds Game Boy Advance games and printed a label for it. So remember how I said you probably know about one of the games I'm going to show you? Well, that's why I made this number 5. This is the game that you've probably heard of, and if not, I just want to tell you that this is a great game. So, Lunar Legend is a role-playing game for the Game Boy Advance developed by Japan Art Media and published internationally by Ubisoft, who also provided translation. It is a retelling of the events of Lunar the Silver Star with story and content changes. All the characters from the original game still appear. So guys, I really thought I wasn't going to like this game. I had just got done beating the original Lunar for maybe the 3rd or 4th time on the PlayStation 1, and I did a playthrough of Lunar 2 the Silver Star, and then I actually played through the versions on the Sega CD. And I played all these Lunar games. I even played the DS version, which is, I don't recommend that one at all. It's not, you can't even pick your enemy you want to fight. Anyway, this game is pretty good. Now, the way that the events unfold in the game are kind of scrambled as far as the original releases of Lunar 1, but it's still a really good role-playing game, especially for the Game Boy Advance. I highly recommend it, and a loose card of this game should probably run you about 15 bucks, maybe even 10 bucks. Pick it up. Okay guys, so at number 4 we got Super Robot Taisen Original Generation, and again, not the original case, just a printed case, but I still got the card. Okay guys, so I actually found out about this game right after I got done playing Super Robot Taisen OG Endless Frontier on the Nintendo DS, and although this game is not as good as that game, it's still pretty good. So Super Robot Taisen Original Generation is a tactical role-playing game for the Game Boy Advance, obviously, developed by Banpresto and published by Atlas, which is Banpresto in Japan. The game was originally released in Japan on November 22nd, 2002, and stars various original characters created by Banpresto for the Robot Wars series. Much like the earlier Robot Wars Gaiden, the game features no licensed mecha or characters at all. Instead, it uses only Banpresto's own creations and an original story. So overall, I'm not a huge fan of tactical role-playing games. I much prefer the traditional turn-based role-playing games, as opposed to tactical. But, this was a Robot Taisen game, and I am a fan of the series, so I checked it out, and I like it. This game's definitely a hidden gem, and there's new copies of this game going for between $50 and $60. That's brand new in the box for the Game Boy Advance. So the cart-only version of this game will probably run you between $15 and $20, which I think is an excellent deal for this game. If you see it, it is pretty common, definitely pick it up. Okay guys, so if you're familiar with the last game I showed you at all, you already know what this is going to be, and we have at number 3, Super Robot Taisen 2 Original Generation. So there's really not a whole lot different about this game than the last game. The battle system's the same, the graphics look the same. Still an excellent game, especially for a tactical role-playing game. But this is actually the second Robot Taisen game that was released in the United States. Over in Japan and overseas, they got tons of Robot Taisen games. But we only have a few. A few that I have in my collection are Robot Taisen Original Generation 1 and 2 for the Game Boy Advance, and Super Robot Taisen OG Endless Frontier, obviously, for the Nintendo DS. Now, there are a couple, I believe, Korean or Japanese releases, like for the PS4, Robot Wars X. And although those games have Japanese or Korean, I forget which one it is, voice acting, they do have English subtitles. So, for those that want to play those games, go to PlayAsia or go to eBay, order your copy, and you'll have the English subtitles. Still an excellent game, though. Okay guys, so I love my shooters or my shmups if you watch my channel, so these last two, I'm just giving you a hint, they are shooters. And the last two I actually don't have cases for, they're card only, and this one actually cost me $3 plus tax. So at number 2 we have Robotech, the Macross Saga. So guys, lately in my quest to find awesome, great shooters across multiple platforms, I ran across a Macross game for the Sega Saturn, an import game. You know, so you need an action replay cart and all that. So I'm playing this Macross shooter on the Saturn. It's cheap. It's not one of those $500 shooters. It's like a $5 or $10 shooter, but it's still really good. It was so good, in fact, that I decided to look up Macross games or Macross shooters for other systems, and that's when I found this game. So, Robotech the Macross Saga is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up for the Game Boy Advance, developed by Lucky Chicken Games and published by TDK Media Active. Now, this title was actually released during a renaissance of Robotech video games where struggling projects were no longer canceled and actually made it to the market. So, to sum it up, this is a fun, colorful shooter, and if you're a fan of the genre, definitely pick up this game. Like I said, it only cost me $3. I mean, there's shooters out there that cost $1,000. This one's $3. And I bought it from a retro game store that is known to have very high prices. So $3, hell, it might cost you $5. Still, it's a no-brainer. Pick it up. Okay guys, so I saved the best for last, and this one was kind of a pricey one. I splurged a little. This game's $7, card only. You can find it pretty cheap. You know, I overpaid for this one. You can find it a lot cheaper. I'm just going to say this game is an amazing shooter, one of the biggest hidden gems on the system. I don't see anybody else talking about it, and that is, at number 1, we have Danny Phantom Urban Jungle. Okay, so I don't know how I found out about this game. It was purely by chance, but I'm very lucky that I did because this game is awesome. As soon as I started playing it, I wasn't really a big fan of the colors or the sprites or anything. I was like, you know, I wasted $7. But after I put about a minute's time into this game, I figured out how awesome it was. And actually, when I got this game, I was right in the middle. I was about 90 hours into Persona 5. And I wanted to test this game out, so I stuck it into my Nintendo DS, because you can play GBA games on a DS Lite anyway. And I played it for about a minute, and I was like, oh my god, this game's awesome. So that went on for about a half an hour before I had to set the DS down and pick the PS4 controller up to play Persona 5. But this is a great game. Definitely keep your eye out for it. It is pretty plentiful. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it, so you should be able to pick it up pretty cheap. So as I mentioned, or I might not have mentioned this, so it says on the game cartridge Nickelodeon, and I looked it up online, and apparently this is a Nickelodeon series, but do not let that fool you. In the past, if I'd have saw that Nickelodeon stamp on the cartridge, I would have immediately set it down. Do not let that persuade your choice. Trust me, this is a good shooter. If you're a fan of shmups or shoot 'em ups or you like the genre, pick this game up. It's cheap, it's good, it'll put its meat hooks in you, and it'll push you to finish the game. It's got sort of a leveling up system. You can pick and choose your power-ups. I mean, this game is awesome. Trust me, if you see this game, Danny Phantom Urban Jungle, pick it up. In my opinion, it's one of the biggest hidden gems on the Game Boy Advance. It has my seal of approval. Alright, so guys, those are just 5 hidden gems, or I feel like they're hidden gems on the system. I know there's a lot of videos out there, so I tried to pick some games that maybe you haven't heard of. I figure you probably heard of Lunar, but I had to add it in there because I love the game so much, but that's also why it made it my number 5 pick. Anyway, guys, what's some of your favorite Game Boy Advance games? You know, let me know in the comments section below. I love learning about new games, especially those shooters, guys. Anyway, if you liked the video, like the video, and remember to subscribe to the channel. I love you guys. Till next time, and peace out.